Hey guys, Scott here from Natural Athlete Online Coaching. Today we're going to look at the back squat all the way from start to finish, from simple things as your setup routine all the way to how you're going to rack the bar after you've done the squat as well, okay? So most people, when they go wrong with the back squat, it's before they've even done the rep, okay? It's just how they get the bar out of the rack. First thing to check is your hands are symmetrical. When your hands are symmetrical, the bar's going to be balanced on your back, okay? And also your hand width wants to be a hand's width outside of your shoulder when you've got the bar on your back. For me, that means my little finger's going to go on the bar here. In terms of thumb under or over the bar, I would say go with what's comfortable for you. I generally put my thumb over the bar, although I might not necessarily coach this to beginners for safety reasons in the beginning. But when you get comfortable, you can do whatever's comfortable for you, okay? So my hands are symmetrical. I use the smooth rings as a guide, and I'm going to rub my pinky finger over the smooth rings, making sure that it's symmetrical, okay? Now when I pull myself under the bar, I know that I'm going to be in the center of the bar, okay? It doesn't matter where your hands go as long as they're symmetrical, okay? So I can use guides like this, like my thumb width, or I can use 2 fingers width, 1 finger's width from that space, but just make sure that they're symmetrical. When it sits on your back, it's nice and balanced, okay? When I get myself in this position, I'm going to really pinch my shoulder blades together, okay? And pull the bar into my back and drive the bar into the back so I can feel where the tension's going to be in my back, okay? So if I come here and it's like, oh, that feels like it's sliding down, I already know where the tension's going to be because I'm pushing the bar away a little bit already, okay? Cool. Then what am I going to do? I'm going to slide myself forward, get my feet underneath the bar, squat the bar out, okay? With commercial racks like these, you might feel like you're going to hit the rack. A rig would be much better where there's nothing above where you're going to squat it out. So you really want to be squatting this bar straight up, okay? Especially when you've got a heavy weight. You don't want to have to sort of guide it out like you're playing Pac-Man or something, okay? So when you walk out, you can either split squat the bar out or you can squat it out. I'd say as a beginner, squat it out. Take a step back with each foot, okay? Really decisively take a step back with each foot. Then set your width for squatting. So those are your 3 steps. 1 step with each foot, set your width for squatting, okay? Now I'm here, I've got my shoulder blades pinched together and I'm pulling back down on the bar. I'm going to make sure that I lead with my hips, okay? So I've got a high bar here, it's quite high up on my traps. I'm going to lead with my hips, sit back, drive my knees out, just like in the goblet squat, okay? So the hips lead first, work my way down into the bottom of my squat, which today, as you can see, I'm quite tight, not that low. Okay, when I'm in the bottom of my squat, my chest is still up. As I rise, I'm going to focus on driving my knees forward and chest up, okay? Okay, so I make it look very easy, I know. So we'll go through some common mistakes of what beginners might do in the back squat, okay? So the first one might be a knee lead. So they go knee lead, knee lead, knee lead, knee lead, knee lead. And then they're like, oh, I've ran out of ankles, okay? And then they start to shift their weight back and sit into the squat. The only issue with this is it really messes up with your balance, okay? That's why the hip lead is so important. Cool, another issue might be leaning too far forward, okay? So they'll squat down and they're like, okay, my hips are giving me no more range, so all I'm going to do is lean forward. And they basically turn it into a good morning, okay? You don't want to do that. If your hips are your limiting factor, that's fine. Keep that upper body posture vertical the whole time. If your hips stop here, that's all good. That's the end of your squat, okay? Don't try and think you're extending your range by leaning forward as you do it, okay? Next thing beginners struggle with most is depth. So a really, really good trick I use with all my beginners is something I call a tempo, pause, and sink, okay? So what's the tempo? The tempo is the slow tempo descent into the bottom of the squat, okay? And then I say, when you think you're at the bottom of your squat, hold it. I'll hold it for 2 seconds, and then I say, sink, and they just drop, okay? Most of the limitations in your squat depth are all nervous system related. Your body is trying to resist going into positions it's not used to. So you can trick it by doing it very quickly and having that little sink at the bottom, okay? You should find yourself getting more depth, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've got 5, 6, 10 centimeters more range in my squat just from doing that little trick. One last thing on common mistakes is that when you're in the bottom of the squat, you get a lot of people leaning forward as they rise. So they go down nice and vertical because they've been practicing for a while, and then as they come up, they lean forward, and the bar comes forward over their center of mass, pulling them off balance, and they go into their forefoot, okay? The best cues for avoiding this is firstly, knees forward, secondly, chest up, okay? So as I come down, and before I rise, I want to be thinking about knees forward, chest up, okay? Knees forward, chest up, okay? That gives me a nice propulsion from the bottom. It keeps me nice and vertical, okay? Once you've got the movement pattern, the next thing to add on is bracing. If you're not bracing correctly, you're never going to be able to lift very heavy, which means you're going to be really limited with how strong and how much muscle you can get. So, bracing. We always breathe through our mouth. No nasal breathing. Nasal breathing is really slow and laboured, and it's not powerful, okay? We want to breathe in from our mouth, fill in our lungs as much as possible. A good way to think about this that you've probably done before is blowing up a party balloon. You practice blow up the party balloon, you go, that's what you want to do when you squat, okay? So you breathe in, got that breath, it's there, okay? And I'm going to push my abs out, make that food belly out and out to the side, okay? In all directions, okay? I'm going to hold that the whole way down in my squat. I'm going to come all the way back up and do it all over again, okay? Breathe in between each rep. If you're doing hypertrophy reps and you're doing like 10, 12 reps, you're going to want to breathe it a bit quicker. And if you're doing strength, it's going to be a really big deep breath and a really big squeeze, okay? That's the back squat.